Hello and welcome back, everybody, as we find ourselves ready for Game 3 of the day. That's right, we finally have a series. Yesterday went by way too fast, Yoshi, so we're getting treated with a full 3-game series as the Redbirds fight back against Harrisburg in that last game. Beautiful drafting, incredible performance in the game. I questioned them when I had no right to, because clearly they were the better performers in Game 2.
I mean, you say it was them. I feel like it was just Drew Dozer popping off. Shabmo had some good plays, but I can't wait to see what else they have to show, because they have showed us, as we said, 3 different styles over the last 3 games that we've actually seen them play. And with all the different opportunities they have again chosen red side, as the analyst desk said, and that means that they can once again look to find a counter pick for one of their solo laners.
And they've been on red side all 3 games now. Obviously, they're liking this. I mean, it gives them a counter pick for their last choice, but it does mean that that Thresh is contested, and yeah, they are banning that Thresh away. I predicted that Yode would be the first ban for Harrisburg after game number 2. I still think it'll be in the first rotation here. We'll see if they actually lock that in, but so far, the bans, they've been pretty much the same throughout the series.
And we've seen a bit of a détente. There's the Yone. It wasn't the first ban, it was a second ban. We've seen a bit of a détente from both teams saying, like, you know, if you don't pick Viego, we won't pick Viego. It's going to be a good time. We can all just go back to playing normal League of Legends. But we're seeing a couple of throwbacks to things that happened earlier on in the series. Lee Sin and Thresh taken away from the first game, and then the Yone, I mean, obviously having a big impact in Game 2, but what else do they want to prioritize? What else do they want to push around? The Udyr was a little bit invisible, like Dylan said, and Shorter Race definitely could have a bit more freedom with a character with a bit more mobility.
Well, it's not going to be Nocturne. That's been on the ban list for the Redbirds every single game so far. So what does that leave up? Morgana has not been banned yet. Usually this was a ban from Harrisburg's side, but they're still on blue side. They didn't ban it this time around, and with it being up, it's locked in. There we go. Presumably Morgana jungle.
Presumably, for sure. It's kind of surprising to me that this hasn't been played elsewhere, but it is technically still flexible if they do want to throw it around. And now, the question for me is, we saw a tweet or a message earlier from the coach for Redbird Esports, Michael Pater, saying, you know, we could go with our 13 hours of draft prep that we did, or we could just first pick Drew Dozer Katarina. Instead, they're going to be going with the Kindred instead this time around. Going to be a pretty classic counter pick to the Morgana. As long as you can dodge away from those bindings, you should be in a pretty good spot for all of the rest of the fight.
Drew Dozer did hover the Katarina last game. I will say that, so we got it teased, right? But they are
we got 2 Ks.
Kindred with the Karma. Okay, interesting to note there. So they are putting Nausicaa back on this pick.
Well, it doesn't have to be Nausicaa, right? We've seen Drew Dozer play this as well. Sure. It has priority in the mid lane. It pairs very well with the Kindred, giving them the extra movement speed and damage in order to actually lock down a lot of these kills. But so far, this is looking fairly standard. The Kindred being a little bit less popular throughout most of the meta, but nonetheless a very strong champion. As Harrisburg, I expect to see probably a support pickup at this point as they are rounding out their top half of the draft.
Makes sense, the Kai'Sa Nautilus locked in, but interesting to note that Jinx is still available. This has been Disconnector's comfort pick throughout the tournament so far. Has not been banned away. Yeah, they're not going to get it with the Thresh. It has been paired with Nausicaa's Thresh throughout all of the round of 16 when they were playing those games, but I still wouldn't hate it. Disconnector shows he's very good on that champion, and I'm just going to call it out. You can't play Aphelios into Kai'Sa Nautilus. It's a little harder to land, so there we go. Oh, no, it's not Jinx.
Okay. All right, this is interesting coming through at this point, because the Xayah and the Kindred are kind of a little bit at odds with each other. On the one hand, they kite back very well together, but the Kindred wants to be very aggressive. You want to get those 3 auto attacks onto a single target and blow them up for a large percentage of their HP all at once. And now Redbird are committed to these 2 damage sources, which are going to be both auto attackers. So this gives Harrisburg opportunity to start getting things that can armor stack more effectively, whereas the Redbird needs to find things to, 1, get these fights started, and 2, protect their AD carries throughout the rest of the fight.
Joshi, we were memeing that Katarina before, right? Like, do you think Special was listening to us? Like, oh, they're right, the Katarina, because they legitimately are respecting Drew Dozer right now, banning out Katarina.
Yeah, I mean, when you're feeling yourself, that's what happens. You're just like, you know, I feel like I could get away with it. And this is a composition that I feel like already has the tools to deal with it. You have a Nautilus already, so it's difficult to get a full channel off of that Death Lotus. But you gotta be respectful of it anyway. You don't want to see it coming in R5 as the last pick for picked up by ISU Nausicaa, because at that point, you only pick it when it's going to be really good in your composition.
And we already saw the Victor was banned out, so thinking maybe Redbird are going to focus on these mid lane bans. So let's take away the Katarina from Dozer in case he holds that for the counter pick. But we got one last ban here. It is Cassiopeia. So actually a lot of focus on mid laners from both sides here, if you still consider that Malphite a potential flex given compositions. But either way, Victor, Cassiopeia, and Katarina all taken off the table. So really pinching both Lycamaz and Dozer's champ pool. We'll see what Redbird want to prioritize as their first pick on round 2.
It's interesting to me that they're hovering a number of supports here. Clyde is the one that's well known for the Pyke, but it's going to be the Leona getting picked up here, which does lock it does lock Karma into one of the solo lanes. I feel like Hopeful has done this every single time. I see Maokai being hovered, and normally this is an ISO champion more than anything else, but he's on Columbia College. He's on the opposite side of the bracket. So I feel like there has to be a little bit more trash talk here that I'm just not privy to. But we'll have to ask them about it later. Maybe they're saying, like, Sandflame, do you want to play this? Or do you want to be stuck in tank jail? Okay, we'll give you a different pick.
I mean, maybe a call off to Maz's brother, right? You know, you never know. But there we go. Sion is locked in, so it's going to be a tank either way, right? Locked in for a Harrisburg University. They have a lot of engage tools right now to pair with that Kaisa. And while the Leona, I was questioning it at first, you look at the composition, what Redbirds is missing is an engage tool right now, right? So Nazca will be that engage when the rest of the lock-ins are kind of more kite back. So maybe we're seeing a split in focus here from Redbird's draft, but Harrisburg University, they seem very one-dimensional, very focused on what they want to do, and that is engage.
And they're going to have plenty of opportunities to do it, right? You have the Nautilus, you have the Sion. Both these are kind of run-at-you champions. And while Xayah likes to kite backwards, Kindred can kite backwards rather effectively. It kind of leaves Leona out to kind of dry. She's a very good engaged champion, but not super... Oh my god! Whoa. We don't get the Katarina, but we get a different K coming out in the Caston right now for Dozer, going up against the Orianna mid lane. This is a throwback. And man, Redbird Esports are going to be scaling so hard. But the question is, are they going to be able to get there? They have to really weather the storm of some incredible team fighting coming out from the AHU Storm side. Whereas, haha, I just realized we use Storm a whole lot there. But Redbird, they don't know if they have enough early game power to bridge that gap to get to the point where Cassian wins the game on his own.
Kassadin, Kindred, Xayah, a lot of scaling and a lot of, like we said before, kite back potential. Whereas Harrisburg, they are all in on the aggression. That Kassadin pick, it's rare to see, right? But I do like it into double AP matchups, right? You got Orianna mid, you got Morgana jungle. So that magic shield that you get from your kit will be coming in clutch. You can actually survive that lane phase fairly easily if you can avoid a lot of that harass early on and just play safe enough to hit that level 6 and then just go on side lane duty, right? That's what we expect from the Kassadin. That's what worked for them in that last game. Get Dozer in a side lane and hope that he can get some solo kills. Redbird, man, Illinois State giving us yet another fun pick on Dozer, the pop-off carry performer. Can he do it again? Harrisburg University looking to put the brakes on this momentum swing. But we're in game 3, baby. Joshi, everything comes down to this. The winner will move on to the semifinals.
I want to draw a little bit more attention to this Caston once again and how it's going to be playing into the composition that Harrisburg have. You look at what Harrisburg have drafted for themselves. You have Clyde, who has a lot of this upfront crowd control, but it's actually going to be very difficult for them to lock down Dozer as this game goes longer. You're committing most of what Nautilus has almost right away when the fight begins. Sandflame on the Sion has some crowd control, but it's very unwieldy. It's very, slow to move around. And the ultimate coming out from Moss, the binds coming out from Short Arrays, yeah, they're very quality crowd control, but they aren't the easiest things to land onto a Caston. So as long as ISU don't get blown out in the first couple of seconds of a team fight, Dozer's Caston is going to be looking immaculate.
They still want to hit that point, right? Level 11, at least level 16, ideally for Dozer. So can Harrisburg University go a little faster, right? Put the pedal to the metal and accelerate this game state. I want to point out something that I noticed when we were loading in here, Josh, and get your thoughts on it. This is actually Gluten Free Panda taking exhaust on the Kindred, so really opting towards a potential 1v1 jungle matchup. That's what I would assume, or maybe just really concerned about Hopeful and the damage that he can bring if he dives into a backline. What are your thoughts on this?
True, it's a very interesting pickup, right? Normally if you see a non-flash summoner taken by a jungler, it's going to be Ghost on characters like Olaf or the Hecarim, or it's going to be Ignite like we've seen on the Graves in particular. And this is neither of those. It gives you that dueling power like you said, but it also is going to be reducing the threat onto their backline. If you can buy that little bit of extra time, you will be okay, and you're just trying to get to that last part. But I also want to address something about this Kindred and the Cassin that we haven't touched on just quite yet, and that's the fact that they don't necessarily synergize particularly well. Kindred wants high prio in the mid lane in order to go steal away these marks, in order to make these plays on the sides of the map. And you know what Cassin has, Kangas?
Negative prio.
Yes, negative prio. Even worse than 0. He's going to be pushed in the entire time, and that invites potential ganks, but it doesn't give you opportunities to go very aggressive.
Could be our first gank. Oh, the Dark Binding lands from long range. Do they get the flash user? Does not go for it, but now the engage on the bot side. Clyde. Ignite was used by Nausicaa.
He's here.
It's just supportal combat right now, but GFP has joined in. Hopeful could be in some trouble. Clyde's still alive, but Hopeful's actually the sacrificial lamb. Disconnector picks up that kill. Clyde waddles to safety, but gives up on his AD carry.
Something's a little bit weird here. As a support main yourself, King, aren't you supposed to be the one dying there? Right,
no,
they both have all their
support this. I like this. This should be the new norm.
All right. Well, Hopeful does go down. He's going to be losing out on a lot of experience. And a couple crucial things to note. One, GFP goes down. We'll have to check if he actually got a mark off that first one. He's definitely going to be missing this mark on the top side of the map as Short Ace grabs the Scuttle Crab. But Drew Dozer on this Kassadin is ahead in CS after that gank coming through. And we see, Hopeful thinks that Disconnector is overextending during this fight, and if it was just that 1v1, yeah, Disconnector would be a little bit too far forward, but at that point, when your opponent's making a play that doesn't make sense to you, it probably means they have friends around, and GFP right around the corner to find the kill.
And that was the exhaust, too. I think that Hopeful expected to have the kill on Disconnector, but exhaust comes in from Kindred, and he's like, wait, what? What's exhausting me? Oh, it's the jungler. All right, well, I guess I gave over first blood without using any summoner spells, but now huge wave pushing in mid right now. Clyde's roamed up, but GFP will spot him out. Hooks to safety and has that W shield as well. So I don't think the Gluten-Free Panda will actually get continuing the chase just for a little bit longer, but no, it's just to establish dominance here. Nausicaa's joined up with a jungler, and Gluten-Free Panda should have free reign, but really nothing to take right now.
Yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed that GFP wasn't able to get in range. This isn't against him, it's just, you have a limited time to get that third auto based on your E, get that big bunch of damage, and a slow to come off. They might have been able to find that kill due to the level difference. And now Shorter Ace is up here. This is a tough dive. As long as ShamWow has access to his ultimate, he can press R, press W on somebody, try and root them up, and that'll give him not only a ton of healing, but also potentially crowd control somebody under turret. So I can't imagine they're going to try and go for this.
Yeah, they don't. They back off. Sandflame just tries to shove in that turret or that wave, but it actually doesn't crash. So this is a really good wave position for ShamWow. As we see Gluten-Free Panda pathing up to the top half of the map, there's actually nothing for Gluten-Free Panda to take up here. And they're good on Sandflame back. There's nothing you're accomplishing there. Gluten-Free Panda will just be wasting some time on the top half. Meanwhile, Shorter Ace rotates towards this dragon side, and that's the big objective that they could actually look for. But it is important to know, Gluten-Free Panda is staying up in farm over Shorter Ace. This is not what I've come to expect from the Morgana jungle. The reason you pick this is because of these lightning fast clear speeds, but GFP doing a good job of actually controlling it.
And I think it's worth noting that neither of these junglers actually have that much CS at this point. We would be expecting them to be finishing their second clears if they were just both power clearing, but instead, they're going to both opt into being a little bit lower in terms of golden experience by not clearing as much, and GFP potentially looking to upset that. You see the slow push coming in from Illinois State. We'll see if they can actually do anything with it.
Ooh, another binding over the wall from Shorter Ace onto Drew Dozer. They already got him to back and teleport mid lane, so they're looking to put some pressure on that Kassadin, but now level 6 can get away without using Flash. But they don't have priority around the Dragon anymore. Nausicaa and Disconnector. Yeah, there's no hard committal right there. Both supports have their Aftershocks. Both of them can tank up damage. Good trade, though, from Disconnector, actually just poking out Clyde. And now they have the push, so does ISU want to go for this Dragon? I don't think they commit.
Don't think they should at this point. They still don't have real prio in the mid lane. They see Shorter Ace is around. And crucially, you'll notice that this Morgana is picking up another Scuttle Crab, taking another mark off the table from Gluten-Free Panda. Remember how we talked earlier about Kassadin and the Kindred not being able to work together to find some of these marks? We're seeing that Kindred hasn't really had an opportunity to do much of that, and now actually trying to sneak away the dragon.
Yeah, Dragon is being snuck. It is traded for the top half of the jungle from Shorter Ace, who will take the Raptors, take the red buff, and maybe even take those Krugs. So GFP will find himself a little further behind in the jungle clear after this, but you start that early Dragon stacking. Does feel good for your team. And not going the way that we expected, right? You were saying like Amaz on the Orianna should, in theory, have priority in the mid lane over Drew Dozer, which can make it hard for the Kindred to actually do stuff like this. But I think that was more of a predictive play, right? You expected the enemy Morgana to go take your mark away from your top side. So easy trade right there for ISU.
See it.
Engage on the bot side. Disconnector fighting under turret, does take one turret shot, so not the best of trades, but GFP is nearby. I don't think that they go for the dive, and actually, as I say, that Shorter Ace is roaming down here. So is Like Amaz walking. Does Like Amaz actually commit? Shorter Ace is here. The Dark Fighting lands. Disconnector kind of walks right into that one. Will use the heal, so Summoner spell down, but will not die.
Nothing really given over, and we have to note that this is the third game in a row, Kangas, where Illinois State are picking up the third straight game of grabbing the first dragon. They've picked it up every single time, but now with the Mountain and the Infernal coming up next, it means we're either going to get a second Cloud game or an Ocean Soul game. And I just have to say, if they're able to get either of these, you know, we don't typically think of Cloud as giving over a ton of combat stats, but the extra maneuverability on your double marksman here is going to be really impactful later on in these team fights when the slow crowd control, the high quality but difficult to land crowd control from characters like the Morgana and the Scion become a lot harder to actually land. So ISU very happy as long as they can continue stacking these dragons like they did in Game 2.
And if you thought it was hard to get away from a Cassin before, just wait until he's got a potential Cloud Soul. But we'll have to wait and see what that eventual Dragon Soul is. So far, it's just that early Dragon over to ISU. They're doing a great job in this early game. I'm actually very happy with how things have gone, because as I said before, the way I see this, it's up to HU to put the pressure on early. It's up to them to make sure this Kassadin does not scale, and they have not successfully shut him down. He's actually pretty much even in farm against Like Amaz. Has not gone down, hasn't even had to use Flash, so Drew Dozer feeling very, very good with how this early game has gone.
Well, the question then becomes, King, is what is early? Yeah, I agree, as we're cresting the 9.5-minute mark, and Drew Dozer potentially needs to worry about the fact that there are more members of the other team around than his own team. You gotta pay attention to the fact that Kassadin is doing A-okay at this point. But we still haven't had an opportunity to see Harrisburg come and actually contest any of these dragons. They haven't been looking for these fights just quite yet, and I think that's going to be way more telling than some of this early laning phase, which is admittedly not going as well as Harrisburg would hoped, but they are still well within the bounds of potentially blowing this game open in a team fight in a few minutes.
But it's actually ISU to go for the first play here. On the bottom side, Clyde gets blown up under turret. Really well done by ISU. Noska chaining that CC, committing the flash for it as well. Clyde's dead, so Hopeful has to back off here.
Nothing comes for free. We're seeing another Rift Herald take going over to Harrisburg, and we're seeing this dichotomy once again. ISU wants Dragons, Harrisburg wants these Heralds, and it is going to be giving Shorter Ace an opportunity to impact the map relatively soon. But again, relatively quiet from Shorter Ace. He's been really impressive when he finds these early ganks, when he gets these opportunities to be aggressive. But now, GFP, gotta be careful, barely dodging that hook.
Ooh. Very close right there, but does get out to safety and also takes away a Krug camp away from Shorter Ace in the meantime. This has been very much so a focus on the bot side here for ISU in the last two games. I like that based on how they had been playing earlier in the tournament. Makes a lot of sense putting the focus on Disconnector, because if you can get this guy and he shows that he can carry...
Oh, this is insane. This is insane. Get these here.
Noska's level 6.
Oh my god.
Hopeful, they say, screw the support. Okay, now turn back on him since Hopeful did get out. Double TP comes in, but not close enough to Clyde to save his life. Noska is very low. Here's the fight. Sandflame goes in.
Oh, they get him!
Shockwave onto 2. Disconnector has to throw out the ultimate. Stalls the flash available. Does to reposition, but does not find much more for it. Drew Dozer cannot assassinate Shorter Ace in the middle of the fight. Now in some trouble himself. Will go down to Like Amaz, and Harrisburg University find their fight.
That was such a cool play coming out, but it's going to be Harrisburg University that actually benefits from it. They paused so hard. Gluten-Free Panda was just over the wall. I can't wait to see this replay, Kingers, because we got a lot of stuff to break down. For now, we just have to note, gold lead still in ISU's favor.
Oh,
but,
wow. He's going
No
for
way.
it. He flashed.
No way.
Flash W, the auto should do it. Oh, ShamWow. See his hopeful stay a little too long. Oh, HU is so close to being a net positive, but good job from ShamWow seeing that opportunity.
This is still so big, right? Because the big thing that we saw that we were setting up previously is Harrisburg still have chances in these team fights. You saw they bursted out GFP before he could use the ultimate. But watch this. They're baiting this so hard. Disconnector not showing. They teleport as soon as Clyde starts to walk up, and they do a good job turning on to the isolated member, but they use so much of their damage, so many of their cooldowns, that they have nothing left. Nobody is able to tank the Scion. Nobody is able to block this train that's just going to ram through, and Drewdozer doesn't yet have the damage to burst anybody out. It's still only level 9, so at the end of the day, Harrisburg still coming out ahead in that one play, but they're going to be giving over the Dragon and a second kill in the extended play, and ISU are in a fantastic spot to not win just quite yet, but to dominate the pace of the game.
They still have all this focus on the bot half of the map. I mean, look at how often they're shoving this in, but meanwhile, topside, HU are going for the play. They find ShamWow. Hopeful says, hey, that wasn't fair before. I was pretty low, but ShamWow's still alive. Actually, he can clear the wave. Wait a minute, does he live this? Can he get back up from the team? The rest of ISU are actually starting to path up here. I think ShamWow's just fine. There's the Rift Herald dropped. Yeah, ShamWow lives. That was a lot of commitment from HU, but they do not find the kill.
Wow, that's huge that ShamWow actually lives throughout that entire thing. The healing on the Mantra W, keeping him alive through that entire thing, and the Shirelli is giving him the movement speed. Drewdozer,
That's the 1v1 against Like a Moz, but not quite in range. Like a Moz does still have that range advantage as the Oriana, and Drewdozer just not quite at level 11, so can't continue that play.
This is getting scary. Drewdozer getting very close to that level 11 at this point. He's more than halfway there. ShamWow still up in this top lane, is vulnerable, but he has friends now. He looks like he got his reading done.
GFP's here, but can he save ShamWow in time?
No!
Not quite! Lamb's Respite was available, but he doesn't get it off in time. Still actually doesn't get it off at all. Now Shorter Race looking for the extended play, trying to force GFP to use that. Oh. Will GFP actually get it down? There we go. Finally, Lamb's Respite is used. I thought the chain CC might have been layered enough, but barely saving Drewdozer. ShamWow will fall. Harrisburg fight back.
Kindred, such a crucial character to know when to use that ultimate. ShamWow thought it was coming through, but GFP not quite in position. It's going to result in this turret going down, and the gold lead once again going over in Harrisburg's favor. And because of the tempo loss, you're losing more than just this one turret. You're losing tempo elsewhere.
They want to go for the play, and Clyde, unfortunately, will be sacrificed. They get the turret, though, so I think that HU, they think that this is worth it, right?
Yeah, you have to think it's worth it, right? You get the entire turret. You're going to get a lot of damage on the bot lane structure as well as some in the mid lane because Drewdozer was here, ShamWow was here. You saw Disconnector Nazca roaming up. But the question will be, is it actually worth it? As we see, because they don't have the strength to bully through, this turret is going down in response. Wow, this game, just back and forth again, King, is we knew this was going to be a close series. I didn't think it was going to be this close.
It's dead even in gold right now, or right as I say that, I actually go slightly in the favor of the Redbirds, but still pretty much even in the gold department. Turrets traded evenly. The big difference is these dragons picked up by the Redbirds, and I'm going to say that's a concern for me if you're a fan of Harrisburg University, because they're the team that wants to fight, that wants to go for these engages, but giving over these early dragons will make it a little harder. Drewdozer joining in here on the bottom half of the map with ShamWow. They just want this turret. This is great. And maybe even just give Drewdozer this farm as well if he can hit level 11 off of that. Engage coming in from Nausicaa. He is alone, though, taking a huge chunk of damage. Maybe a little early on that engage.
He saves the turret probably, though, right? Like, Disconnector Nausicaa chunked out, but the turret does stand for at least another wave. I don't know if they're going to have the opportunity to rotate enough members up into this position. A couple things need to be taken consideration of. Sandflame, now up in the top lane, has a really long lane. Is going to be able to push this and should have that in a good spot for the upcoming dragon. 2, both these characters, you look at Sandflame with the Frostfire Gauntlet and Drewdozer on the Caston, really like finding people in these really long lanes. So does ShamWow actually on the Karma. You chase these people down over long periods and it becomes very touch and go. If you think you can take a fight and you're wrong, it goes from being a bad trade to suddenly you're dead.
But I will say that eventually Drewdozer will just reach critical mass and nobody can answer a Cassidon in the side lane at that point. Still hasn't completed a Mythic, but is level 11. So surprising to see that he's got double levels in that ultimate before even getting that first item completed. We'll see what he actually opts to go in towards. But you mentioned that dragon earlier, Joshi. It is priority from the Redbirds yet again. No surprise, right? I mean, this is the team that has been highly prioritizing these throughout the day's games, always keeping their vision down around this bottom half of the map. And they do have teleport on Drew Dozer on the top half, so I think that they feel fine just keeping him up in that top lane. He pushes out that wave. That might be a slow push, depending on what he did with that. Now can back and spend that money so that he's ready for this next fight.
Yeah, he's going to be here. They're going to have an opportunity. There was a brief moment there where ISU didn't have enough members on the field, but Nazca feels confident to walk up.
Yeah, who's starting this? There's the Nautilus ultimate in onto the Zion. Nazca's taking a lot of damage as the Leona, and where's Drew Dozer? Where's his damage? And when is he going to decide to go in? Early exhaust comes through from Sandflames onto Drew Dozer. He's still untouched. He can still do so much right now. But you look at Harrisburg, they got some blinking health bars, so they got to be careful. No teleport on Sandflame. Actually, no, he just switched to it. He does have teleport. He can
Nazca's low.
He'll teleport back into this. Nazca needs to be careful.
Oh, they fight Drew.
Onto Drew Dozer. He jumps away, but okay, that was close. It's a cast in, hard to get onto, but they don't realize that he's right here. He's over the wall. Drew Dozer could look for a lot of damage right now. He's just buying time.
Oh, no.
He's away from the team. Oh, beautifully played. Hopeful thought he had the assassination, but Drew Dozer gets away. Has to use that flash, but this might just be Dragon Force here from the side of Harrisburg University.
The teleport coming in clutch here for Sandflame. He doesn't die. He goes down super low, but that's what you want to do as a tank. Walk away with 1 HP so you can teleport right on back. And Drew Dozer, a little bit cheeky there in the pit, isn't actually able to find anything that he needs to. Too much damage was taken by ISU. They couldn't go for this, and it is going to be a dragon and a turret going over to Harrisburg University. This game still hangs in the balance. They can still find some of these team fights. They're showing that they have the tools necessary, but they just need to execute a little bit more proactively. And hey, we haven't taken track of this. Guess what, Genghis? That's the second mark at 19 minutes that GFP has picked up. He is well behind the curve in terms of what his range should be expected to be. Remember, you need 4 to get that first range upgrade, and that's when Kindred becomes a lot scarier.
That is not ideal start there for GFP. And I mean, that's kind of what Short Race was trading, right? Controlling those stacks, even giving up dragons for it to try and keep GFP behind. We'll have to wait and see if that's actually worth it for Harrisburg University, because at least they got this next dragon, right? They've halted the dragon point stacking from the side of the Redbirds. And now Redbirds grouping up around this Rift Herald. They've expected Harrisburg to go for this objective based on the games 1 and 2, but HU not looking for it this time around.
Going over to ISU, relatively uncontested. And again, we got to pay attention. Drew Dozer is still that clock, ticking, ticking, ticking. He's 13 out of 16, but we're seeing a fight in the mid lane.
Oh, like Amaz goes for it. He just pushes 3 members of ISU off. That's the power of an Oriana in that kind of choke point. If ISU contested that, they probably would have just lost. But now they engage here onto Clyde. It isn't taking Nautilus. Can they burst him down? He flashes away. And I actually think that that's, was that Rift Herald stolen? No, okay.
Oh,
like let's go back and pick it up. I was wondering, I was like, who's getting it? Was that taken by ISU? But no, they do at least get the objective.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's still Harrisburg picking up, I think, every Rift Herald this entire series after that bit of a chaotic fight. But we are seeing this game kind of stalling out. We still have plenty of scaling left to do for the Caston, for the Kindred. The Xayah is obviously going to be very strong, but, I mean, Sion scales infinitely. Nausicaa going to be able to dodge away, and we see yet another slow backing away from both teams.
Man, I could not have asked for a better game. This is on a knife's edge right now, Joshi. Both of these teams giving it their all. This is top 8. You have to win here to go to the semifinals, and these teams are giving it their all right now. Shockwave onto 2 underneath the turret. They get flashed out to disconnect, but Opal takes him out. No enemy 80 carry. The support goes down too. Harrisburg University just explode the play in the mid lane with the Rift Herald. They're pushing onto this inhibitor turret. They might just take it down. Oh, so close, but wow, what an engage from Harrisburg.
Well, this is what we were saying, King, is they don't need to win the early game. They can just take these team fights, blow up all these squishy members before the fight starts. They only have Nausicaa to stand in front, and with so much damage being focused down, it's hard for him to stand up for very long. Pay attention to a couple things. One, ShamWow's teleport goes to this turret. He's not actually able to finish it because the Rift Herald crashes. He doesn't come through. There's no 5th member here for ISU, and from that point on, it's just a rout. You need to be able to prevent Sion from getting to the back line. He's unwieldy, but once he's there to stay.
Huge push from Harrisburg University right there. Let's see what more they can get for that. I'm noticing, just to keep track again, the GFP radar. Where's he looking? He's got a stack on those Raptors, but I don't think he's going to get that one either. Oh, no, GFP. I feel for this guy.
I mean, we don't want to overstate it, right? Like, it's good. You want the marks. They do more damage. You do get the extra range. But the reason why you pick this character is still based on the Lamb's Respite. They still do a lot of damage. It's nice, not going to win them or lose them the game. I would like to see a couple more at some point because he's 3-1-1. I'm a bit surprised there wasn't any hunts picked up there, but he's still going to have plenty of damage. If you can still kite GFP and Disconnector together and wait for Drew Dozer to get to level 16, there's still lots of play left here for ISU.
Question being, has Harrisburg done enough? Because Drew Dozer's already level 14, catching a full wave on the top side. They're looking for the play mid.
Okay.
They're hoping for it right now.
Nausicaa.
Engage. They get onto Nausicaa. It's just the Leona, but it will be a secured kill because ISU know, hey, we cannot contest this. Drew Dozer needs these levels. They committed the TP. Harrisburg, though, what more can they get for this? They
oh, no.
They got him. The engage. They catch. Unfortunately, ShamWow. Beautiful dark binding from really long range. Now they push all the way onto this inhibitor. Do they look to end? I don't think they have the wave for this. Yeah, they're just going to take the inhibitor and decide to back off. I was getting excited thinking 2 are down. Maybe they go for the crazy Hail Mary, but they'll be happy with the broken mid lane.
Oh my God. They're staying here. There's no vision. Oh, no. They don't know.
Shockwave, Disconnector, good fingers, good reaction time. Popping your own ultimate to avoid that one. But wow, this is a game of inches right now, Joshi. This could swing either way.
ISU want to try and contest this. Luckily, it's a Cloud Rift, so they have all of the opportunities to get those vision with the cones back and forth. And now as they start to move over, do they try and contest this? They don't have Prio in the mid lane. Nausicaa is in an awkward spot. He's going to be able to dodge out. But look at how close this game can be. We need to see ISU find a team fight on their terms. They need to get a little bit more time for Drew Dozer. But are HU just handing over Cloud Soul?
They don't have Shockwave. They don't have Depth Charge. I think that they did the math and said, we are down some key ultimates. I don't think that we can actually go for this because ISU, they got a couple deaths, right? But they got to spend their gold. True. So I actually don't mind that from Harrisburg. It's not Dragon Soul. It's just Dragon Soul Point. And they're saying, hey, let's not throw away all of our momentum by trying to go and contest a dragon that is not necessary right now. Instead, play it safe, play it a little more controlled, and still try and play for the smart engages later on. This concern be Drew Dozer, man. Still
you brought something up that really made me think about this game relative to Game 2. You have Clyde, who is currently playing the Nautilus. Previously, he was playing the Rakan, and the Karma gave the movement speed in order to just run away. But this is different. If Nautilus presses R, you can't walk away from that. It will track you down. It will get a fight started in ways that Rakan couldn't previously. Now ISU's defensive composition suddenly not as effective, and it really is such a close game. Now ISU is going to have to find an opportunity to go forward, which is not something they've been trying to do this entire game.
They have the kite back composition, right? I think that they're still happy keeping Drew Dozer in that side lane. Now hit level 15. So in the next 2-3 minutes here, he might hit that level 15 critical mass, and it can be difficult. Lycomaz could be in trouble here. Nausicaa actually away from his team. It's Nausicaa that's getting collapsed on. Maybe he can join in with the rest of the team, but no, he's just going to get blown up before he can find the engage. Oh, ISU, they thought they had the plan. They thought they had the flank with their support, but instead they are the ones found out.
Both supports at this point just giving over their lives, trying to find these plays. Clyde's been sacrificed a few times. Nausicaa, I like the fact that he's still willing to go forward for a lot of these plays, but this one was ISU biting off more than they could chew. The Baron buff going over to Harrisburg University, and Drew Dozer still hasn't ticked 16. We still have a 4,000 gold lead for Harrisburg. They still have this insane team fight, and so many squishy characters are, because they're not getting these kills, because they're not getting the extra gold, are going to have a tougher and tougher time trying to chew through this massive Scion.
Scion's gigantic. Now with the Baron-empowered minions, the siege opportunity actually starts to come in because of all the dive potential too. Like, ISU have to be very careful even under their own turrets. And those turrets will be melting fast now that these Baron-empowered minions should be pushing in. Lane assignments, it looks like Harrisburg University are sending 4 to the top side. They are opting for that dive potential, that hard just focus on this one lane rather than a 1-3-1 push. They're saying, yep, leave Drew Dozer in a side lane. We're going to try and end this game before he even hits level 16.
All right, we'll see if Drew Dozer comes back. It feels like Red Rover. Red Rover send Drew Dozer over. We got to get him back up into this fight.
He's just looking for XP. He's very low on mana, but
so close.
He's
Look
got
how
to be
close he is.
really
Bottom
close
left.
to actually
There it
go
is. He
for
dings.
this. Oh, there. Okay. Level 16 Kassadin, Harrisburg University. You gotta be scared now. They don't even know because he took that off of the Krugs, not on a wave. So if they're trying to spot it out, there's the engage coming in from ISU. They're trying to force the fight so Drew Dozer can join in, but
under
Oscar
turret.
a lot of damage himself under the turret. This is what we talked about. He goes down. Hopeful gets it. No Lambs Respite from GFP to save the support. That might be it. Shambo's taking a lot of damage himself. It's a 4v5 defense. How much can Drew Dozer, level 16, get done? This is what the whole composition was built around. Now you gotta execute. But HU are taking another inhibitor.
All right, Disconnector, you said you're going to get multiple pentas, man. This is your last chance to do it in the round of 8. You got to find something here or the game is going to end.
Dozer hit with a binding shockwave. He's chunked out. He's going to be able to get back and re-heal up. GFP's trying to get that damage down, but look at these minions. Look at the wave taking out these Nexus turrets. HU hoping to end the game here, but they're confident.
They hold.
They're not willing to pull the trigger. There we go. Hopeful just runs into the ShamWow. Can't quite find it. Oscar goes
Drew!
He gets shorter race. The follow-up from GFB. This is what ISU needed. Finally, they get the fight. Chasing down Sandflame. They'll catch the Scion. He doesn't have flash. He doesn't have ultimate. He will be going down. Can he trade anything for it? No, he cannot. ISU defend their base.
Drew Dozer finally dings 16. We see a huge play coming out from all of ISU, and this is coming up at such a crucial moment. Cloud Soul is coming up in 30 seconds. You are able to burn out all of the Baron buff. There is nothing left from Harrisburg, and now that they have all the tools, they're starting to get the money. Suddenly, they're going to burst out with a lot of gold. Lord Dom's coming in on both GFP and Disconnector here very shortly, and suddenly the Sion's going to start melting. ISU might have finally turned the corner, Kangas.
And remember when I said last time, yeah, giving up that other dragon, not the end of the game for HU, but this is Dragon Soul. They will most likely need to contest this right now, and ISU have the inside track. They got the vision down. I think that HU are just going to try and opt for the middle inhibitor instead.
Yeah, Sandflame is still dead. They can't contest this, but they do have the inside track. You already see people starting to back away. Is this going to be a race? Are they going to go for the inhibitor? Do they try and end the game? Sandflame is teleporting it.
There's no way that you go for the end right here, unless you just try and team fight, brunt force your way through. If they win the fight, they win, right? They got super stop. But it's so dangerous to do that right now. What are HU's options? They can no longer just leave Drew Dozer in a side lane. Like, he will probably end the game on his own. Maybe they could just collect all members on. Yeah, no, there's just no way.
Okay. They're going to be backing away. The turret does end up going down, and this is a spot. It's been such a small gold lead. It was 4,000 at most for Harrisburg earlier, and now this is big, right? Like, the Cloud Soul, a lot of people don't judge it very highly, but the movement speed is so big. All the crowd control that Harrisburg has is going to be harder to hit. You can't get on top of people. The Zaya and Kindred could suddenly kite better. Everything that Karma does suddenly makes everybody so fast over and over again. You get access to that team-wide shield even faster. This is really impactful for ISU. We always look at the low cooldown on Kassadin's ultimate. This can be such a good game, and it's going to be one big team fight when all is said and done. They're going to have to come together. They're going to have to make sure they have all 5 members, because if they try and take something without their entire team, it's going to be the other team that takes it.
Drew Dozer, the man on your screen right there, level 16 Kassadin. A lot was put on this player's shoulders from this draft. Not having the crazy performance like the Yone in game number 2, where he was getting all these solo kills in the side lane, but still playing the side lane, scaling up to be this late game menace. And now that's Harrisburg's problem. They got to worry about this Kassadin, who can just delete pretty much anybody on their team. And really all they have to stop that is a Locket on Nautilus and the Zonias on Shorter Ace, if those are the targets. Actually, we do see a stopwatch on Hopeful. That's pretty big. So if Drew Dozer does go in onto any of the key carries, they do have big defensive tools, these stasises, that can try and keep them alive, and then maybe the lockdown from a Nautilus will be enough to kill Drew Dozer, but he just pings level 17, and they're on the full defensive. ISU are just waiting for HU to walk into them.
It's such a tense moment. We have a Baron coming up in 30 seconds, and it's going to be such a difficult time for ISU to try and walk into this. Remember, Nausicaa is still the only one who can face check a lot of these brushes. Drew Dozer is a little bit safer now, but Shorter Ace and the rest of Harrisburg are keeping ISU corralled into their own base, and they're going to have to face check every single one of these brushes in order to try and contest this Baron.
And it's Baron spawning here right now, so does HU rather actually want to go for the Baron, or do they go for the kind of Fnatic Death Brush as it's been coined? They want to control this mid-wave push, make sure that there's no chance that ISU can walk through the mid lane, because they already have their vision control around the Baron, and a very dark jungle for ISU to try and work with. Whew. ISU are playing very defensive still. Good damage onto Hopeful. Trudozer's looking for it. Look at where Trudozer is. He's trying to find some kind of flank, some way to get onto the back line, and HU spotted out. They're just waiting out these super minions top side. Yeah, ISU have to answer.
Back and forth they go. It is such a dance at this point, and something that I do want to point out really quick, Trudozer does have both the stopwatch and the Zhonya's. He has 2 Stacies that he can use. He can do it once, then he can do it again. He can buy time after each Rift Walk for his cooldowns to come back up, and you see just how much damage he's doing. Shorter Ace is pulling the Baron at this point. He's going to take a big chunk, but I think ISU might be able to contest it. They are already close.
Trudozer's going in, but look at the bot side. There's a huge wave hitting that turret, and ShamWow had gone there, now teleporting in to join the team. They know this might be the 5v5 that will decide the game. ISU are opting into it, but HU aren't hard committing to the Baron. They're backing off. They actually don't.
Oh!
Asuka flashes forward, trying to find the engage.
True.
There's the rehook from Clyde onto Trudozer. The first stasis used. Do they notice the second Trudozer over the wall? Can he find anything before this? Tries to get on.
Disconnector.
Can't quite find him. Trudozer onto the back line. The second stasis is used. ISU with some beautiful kiting in this team fight. Take down Sandflame. The big frontline tank is down. They won the fight.
40 seconds left before Sandflame can come back up. This is going to be ISU taking an opportunity to hit the Baron themselves. Trudozer's going to teleport back, and everyone from Harrisburg is going to be backing away at this point. ISU turning the corner. Do they find somebody? Shorter Ace?
No! No! Oh, that was so close!
Do you hear that music in the background?
Baron picked up by ISU. Joshi, we might be past the chance for Harrisburg's composition to do this. They need to find some huge bursts. Now Trudozer doesn't have the stopwatch, and he doesn't have the Zhonya's, so maybe they can actually find the CC chain burst onto him, but man, it's going to be hard to pull that off.
You're going to have to look at GFP this time. He's going to have to be that second effective stasis coming in for Trudozer. Yeah. He hasn't had super effective Lamb's Respite so far this game, but if he just finds one crucial one at the right time, Drew going in!
Oh, here we go. They find the pick. This might be what they
No!
Take down Trudozer! The Cassidon's out of the fight! Shockwave onto 2. Nausicaa's out of there. GFP with the Lamb's Respite will keep him alive for just a little bit longer, but that's a double kill. Coming in for Hopeful. They also take down the AD carry. It's just ShamWow left alive. Harrisburg University, they did it! They weathered the storm of Trudozer. They are the storm! Harrisburg University will take down the middle inhibitor. They will take down these Nexuses. The storm rages on to the semifinals. Harrisburg University keeping the dream alive in CLOL 2021.
I do not have the words to describe the emotions that I'm feeling right now, Kangas. We set it up for all of this. We saw the turnaround from ISU. They had the lead, and then it was one button. It was a twist. It's an M. Night Shyamalan movie this entire time. You're getting ready for this big fight, and then one pick. The one pick is all that it takes to turn 30, 40 minutes of work into nothing as we see the Harrisburg Storm rage through. They're ready to go on. They're looking at Bethany and Maryville on the other side of the bracket and saying, we are coming for you next after this huge win over ISU. What a beautiful game. I love this series. I love League of Legends, man. This is so fun.
I love collegiate League of Legends, Joshi. The M. Night Shyamalan twist is the perfect analogy for that one. We thought Trudozer had reached critical mass. That was the outcome of the game, right? It's like, oh, he's going to win. You know, he doesn't have Zhonya's, but sure, they just got to kind of wait it out a little bit. But they catch him without the Zhonya's. Gluten-Free Bandit was not there nearby with the Lamb's Respite to keep him alive. That was the pick to end all picks. That's what Harrisburg needed to close out that game. And you're saying that Maryville and Bethany are sweating right now looking at Harrisburg. I think that they're realizing, okay, this is a team that can bleed. This is a team that just barely took down ISU. And what a performance from the Redbirds. Man, they have some heart in those players, really making Harrisburg work for that one.
I can't wait to see what the analyst desk has to say at this point, King. There's so much to break down. I know somebody's been on plenty of analyst desks. You look, it's like, oh, who's going to win? Who's going to win? And the thing was, it was not clear for 30 straight minutes. You had no idea. So good luck with Tigers, Raz, Dylan. You got a lot of stuff to break down this game.
Storm rages on, but we're going to send it over to a short break before the State Farm Analyst Deck breaks down exactly what happened throughout that series. Good luck.
Welcome back to the 2021 College League of Legends Championship. We just witnessed HU Storm take down Illinois State Redbirds Esports in a best-of-3 series that went the distance. And in typical CLOL fashion, we have the pleasure of being graced with the presence of one of the players from that very series. We have none other than Shorter Ace, the jungler for HU Storm. Shorter Ace, how you feeling after that win, my man?
I'm kind of sweating, not gonna lie. It was a pretty close game, I would say.
Yeah, going into this, HU Storm is definitely a very prominent team and organization, maybe not as much known of what to expect on the side of Redbirds. How much did this align with your expectations for the series, considering it did go all the way to Game 3?
I mean, to be honest, I'd expect it to be a hard set, and it really was. I don't think many people had their hopes for us because our team is definitely not as known as their players within solo queue. So I'm just happy we were able to pull it out. We didn't play our best set, of course, like that was pretty bad from us, but honestly, it can only go up from here, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was about to actually ask a similar question where it was like around expectations. coming in. So I would ask more so about your personal expectations, against opposing junglers. And this one, like pulling out the draft, because we also saw in the final game in Exhaust, Smite, Kindred. Like, what was your expectation going up against this specific jungler, and also just like what jungler are you looking forward to going up against in the tournament?
So against a specific jungler, I didn't really know that much about him. But when I play against anyone, I know that I'm like a good player, so I'm really confident in whoever I face.
Yeah.
The jungler I'm looking for the most is probably the Odd Orange. He's really good, and I've known him for a long time, so I'm expecting to play him. And also Frost Force, because I might play him next if he wins a set. He used to go to HU actually, so we have a lot of experience against each other. So it'd be really fun to play him in the semis.
Yeah, and talking a little bit about junglers, this tournament we've seen you more than really anybody else kind of play some of these newer junglers, the things like the Morgana, the Xin Zhao, these champions that weren't really prevalent before. How have you adapted to this new meta, and how do you think that you fit into it, as one of the best junglers in the collegiate scene?
It's actually really funny because for Morgana, I actually used to fill support Morgana in solo queue, so transition to jungle, it wasn't really that much of a difference. Rumble took me a lot of time to learn because ulti is like very hard. I'm not really a math guy, so my ultis at first I got yelled at a lot, but after a while I think I have improved it for sure. I like the meta a lot right now because AP jungles are really fun. They're like my specialty, and it makes jungling a lot more fun than like Udyr Hecarim meta, which kind of made me cry for a while.
And true, it made a lot of people cry actually. But yeah, I kind of going on to that specific game. I wanted to actually ask more so about like scaling aspect, because like scaling is always going to be a point of question when you have like Kindred, Karma, and what's it called, and Zaya on the opposite team. But you guys obviously had like stronger front line, like Nautilus, Scion versus Cassid. And were you guys confident with the game going long enough that you'd be in a better situation for team fighting, or like what do you think about the scaling aspect for the last game?
Like comparing team comps, I'd say our early mid is way stronger than theirs. The late game is kind of scary, especially since we weren't able to stack the dragons. But I think we had a lot of a gold lead from the heralds, the towers that we got, so we'd be able to play our comp like early mid really well. It's just late game, it's really hard for us to play. So if we mess up, like we kind of did in their base for fun, it'd be a lot harder for us to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some dicey moments there in the end. I do want to go a bit back towards the earlier part of this game. We're lucky we got Short Rays here for the entirety of a breakdown of that last match. And if we're looking towards kind of like the mid game, we do have a replay that's brought to you by ScreenCap and Dylan. I think this is where we did really get to see HU Storm bring in that team potential to the table.
Yeah, Harrisburg is one of those teams where they're just so coordinated. And honestly, I don't know if it's something that you guys can really like pinpoint in comms, Shorter Race, but it just feels like you guys are a step above team fighting most of the other teams, compared to teams like Maryville, maybe like you guys are pretty equivalent. But what's your take on that in terms of your guys' team fighting?
So if you actually look at our team, I think 3/5 or 4/5 of our team are literally like Diamond 1 players. Like if you see the team we're playing against, everyone's like just like challenger players. Our team is very low ranked on the ladder, so we can't really win through individual skill. We're just that bad, right? So we have to trust each other, and we have to play like fundamentally well through like scrims, right? We have a lot of experience playing together. We trust each other, and I mean that's how we have to take games when we have a skill disparity individually, I would say.
I mean, all of that being said, though, when you're talking about the strength
I love
of
that. What the hell? The honesty. I just take a second to listen to that. I'm like, all right, man. But yeah, I enjoy that. I mean, recognizing your weakness obviously gives you like a clear idea of what you should focus on in your strengths. So I love hearing that, like just as a general point.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't really expect us to make this far.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
No, you go ahead, dude. I know. Yeah, we're all here hanging out in this environment. Short Race. We want to hear from you, dude. So you didn't expect to go this far then. As far as the rest of the team, is that a shared sentiment or is that something that you personally just feel?
So before the semester before, I was actually at Grandview. They got knocked out pretty early, which made me really sad. I was actually there with their AD carry, like ISU's AD carry disconnector. So I thought I was gonna be playing like CLOL with them, but at the last minute, I transferred back to Harrisburg. And when I came here, I wasn't even expecting to actually play for the team, like starting. I was just actually gonna stream and live a cozy life of streaming. But I mean, I think all of us have worked really hard. I didn't expect to even make this championship because I thought we'd just lose in our region, but I mean, we worked really hard, so we get results to a degree, right?
I mean, that hard work definitely pays off, though. But I do want to bring another replay up to your attention, Shorter Ace, because when we're watching how some key moments led to the victory for HU Storm, I mean, there was this moment, Nausicaa was going for it here. It didn't work out. What was your team's reaction to this play?
I mean, Nausicaa's just kind of sprinting right there. I was really happy that he did that. It made it a lot easier to win. I mean, there's not much to say.
Yeah. I think like moments like these, taking advantage of it. Of course, you guys get Baron. You guys are like moving into the next play, but like kind of like hitting on the point that you mentioned already, like just hard work, and it goes to show like that hard work, as wild as it sounds, hard work pays off. A lot of teams, I know we've been hearing about other universities coming in, then not having the opportunity to practice, or not getting or not finding the time to scrim. But, like, you guys definitely showed like that level coming in. I think a lot of the fundamentals in game one was more so. I think game one was definitely like a better indicator of like you guys had stronger vision around Dragon later on, better idea how you wanted to play your fights. I think that was like definitely very clear. So I would want to ask you more so just like about just development in scrims, like what's like during your scrims, like how do you feel that has been going in terms of your personal growth in the game?
So I've been playing League for maybe like 10 years, competitively maybe like 4 or 5. So it's really funny that like even after so much time has gone by, I can feel like I learned so much, especially playing with this new team. We have Coach Special, Coach Tyler. Tyler was actually on Team Liquid as well as an analyst last year. So being able to scrim with these guys, being able to work like one-on-one with everyone, like with our top laners, has a positional coach like Brandini. Our mid, me and him talk all the time about scrims. I think it's really nice to be able to like bounce off other people, because a lot of people are gonna have like their own way of thinking about the game, but being able to take in other people's like thoughts is really important to improvement. And I think that we're all pretty open-minded with each other.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned how the experience that people like X Special and Tyler bring to the table, how that can really aid this team. I do want to talk a bit about your experience. You just mentioned that you have been playing League of Legends for a long time. A lot of people have had confidence in you going into the series, even if you seem to be a bit critical of yourself. With all of that considered, I am happy to tell you that you have been named Player of the Series for this matchup. So congratulations to you. Collapse.
Thank you.
All around. Yeah. Do every player kind of varies in how they feel about gaining these kind of accolades? So for you personally, how does this help you kind of just evaluate yourself as a player when you are being named with titles like this?
So for this set specifically, I don't think I played to my expectations. So when I actually do, I'll feel like a lot more happier, because like I said, it can only go up from here. I didn't even play that well. I got player of the game. Imagine if I actually play how we play in scrims, like I can look so much better.
It's only gonna get better then. It's the
only up
typical
from here.
scrims looking good. Yeah, there we go. I love that.
To the moon.
To the moon.
Yeah. And I'm sure that the HU Storm fans out there are happy to hear that, because it's not like your journey is over. You still have matches to come. In fact, our very next series between Winthrop Eagles and U Buffalo Esports will determine who you will be facing in the semifinals. What thoughts do you have to share about each of these teams, and maybe who you would prefer to see in your next series?
So Chan, Phosphorus, the jungler, I kind of want to see him in the semifinals against us, so I hope you win. I know he's watching this, so make sure you make it up here.
There we go.
Yeah. Direct call out. I mean, we'll all be looking to see what happens in the series to come. Shorter Ace, thank you so much for stopping by after that series, and congrats again on your win today.
Thank you for having me. Take care, guys.
We do have plenty of College League of Legends Championship to come. You do not want to miss the next series. As we outlined, whoever wins the next best of 3 will be facing off against Shorter Ace and the rest of HU Storm in the semifinal match. If you want to know who that opponent is going to be, stay locked right here. See you there.